Hi, this week's challenge comes to us from Dave in Chicago. He wants me to write something without using cadences. Okay, well, here's some music then. In my catalog, this is number 202.01. If you think you can come up with a better name, then by all means, please say so. Okay, this is how I got there. This is the melody that I started with. You can see it's terrifically simple and predictable. It's a little periodic phrase. I repeated the first half at the end to give myself some room to work with, and then added some rhythmic irregularities and weighty modal harmonies wherever it sounds like it wants to come to a rest. The key thing here is that both the rhythm and the harmony are a little bit different when you hear the surface features a second time at the end. I find that literal repetition tends to stagnate a bit really quickly, so while it's acceptable and even quite common in the historical literature, I try to avoid it wherever I can. I can do that without losing continuity and focus in this case relatively easily because I started with that very regular, very symmetrical structure at the beginning. Trying to hold a piece together gets a lot more complicated when you begin with structural irregularities. In general, I try to reserve the cadences here for bookending sections or entire pieces wherever the genre allows it. I wanted to draw the ear forward toward the end, and I feel that cadences kind of disrupt the structural continuity. It might have been tempting to stick an authentic cadence either at the middle or at the end of the original period and let the remainder stand as a tasty little codetta, but the phrase stands together as a unified structure, I think, more effectively without. So to get from this sketch to an orchestral instrumentation, I start with a full score and add an extra instrument as a placeholder for my sketch. I'm not going to use a piano in the finished piece, so I put my sketch on the piano line with the intention of removing that altogether after all the other parts are filled in around it. I brought the tempo down to a simmer and then added some textural contrast around the edges. And as I orchestrate, the texture begins to kind of take shape. I can simply continue to use the same harmony as I rewrite the accompaniment because it hasn't been stated before, but if I was developing this for inclusion in a large form work, I would almost certainly toss out the harmony that I had written earlier and then allow the voice leadings to stretch out a little bit. As it is, there's no need for that here. The simple repetition that I started with is now only barely recognizable, but the arc still seems to bend toward a satisfactory endpoint. I tossed a little contrapuntal garnish on the top and in the brass here and there to break up the homophony, and copied a bit of the accompaniment at the beginning and at the end underneath the resting point, just to draw out the tonic and to give the melody a sense of space against the background. Then I threw a dash of timpani at it, just to help bring out a couple of rhythms, and then took a pass at the bowings, articulations, and dynamics to tweak the balance. Sure, you can take care of those bits in your editing software after you record, and I certainly will do that. I'll touch it up there too, but you get a finer degree of control and a more nuanced outcome when you get a head start on the interpretive aspects in the score. Your performers will thank you too. The only thing left is to color it in with some synthesizers. So my challenge for you this week is simple. Show me how far you can go without cadences. In some genres, it's almost requisite for writing, so you're only allowed one cadential figure, and that's the big one at the end. So you guys make your own recordings and show me what you got.